Assalamualaikum everyone. Now, have you wondered how water or any liquid boils? And why do different liquids boil at different rates? Well, if you wonder that, then you're in the right place, because in this video, I'll explain how that happens. So in the first two examples of the intro that I told, that how liquids boil and why do different liquids boil at different rates. So they boil because of intermolecular forces. Now you might be thinking, oh yes, yeah, let's move on to the next video. No. You have to learn how intermolecular forces work. This isn't the end of the video. So what basically happens is that molecules like water interact with each other. So they have a particular interaction with each other. So first of these interactions, and by the way, we're not just going to talk about water, many compounds. So the first type of interaction is ion-ion. This is when sodium chloride gets a connection. They interact by the positive and the negative, because the negative attracts the positive and the positive attracts the negative. Now another type of interaction is ion dipole. For that we have to note things. So within water there's going to be two dipole here. Like the hydrogen is more electronegative and it's gonna try in water and other things. If we combine this, it's gonna go here like this, a dipole, and one side of it would be partially negative and the other side would be partially positive. So let's say sodium chloride, an ionic compound which has ion-ion interactions, then mixed with water, salt water, will have ion dipole interactions. That's again, positive attracts the negative and negative attracts the positive. So since hydrogen is partially positive, means that it's going to attract the chlorine, and the oxygen is more partially negative, so it's going to attract sodium, and this is an ion dipole interaction. Another interaction is ion dipole. Another interaction is dipole, and suggesting by the name, it's going to have it's going to be with compounds that have dipole, that type of interaction, like pure water. Just like the boiling water you saw in the kitchen in the intro. Yes, I did that on the kitchen. So since oxygen is partially negative, it's going to be attracted by the hydrogen, and this oxygen by this hydrogen, and this hydrogen. And this is how you make a dipole-dipole interaction. Now these have a special type of bond which we call hydrogen bonds. This is the interaction, and it's used mostly in water, nitrogen, water, and then ammonia, things like that. And the other is van der Waals, or the London dispersion. These two are referred to the same force, but arbitrarily I'm going to say van der Waals in this video. So literally only ions can do ion-ion interactions, and only polar with an ion can do an ion dipole interaction, and only a polar non-polar covalent can do dipole-dipole interaction, but almost anything can do van der Waals, and this is the weakest of the intermolecular forces. So something as small as helium, which is a noble gas, so a sample of helium will be just a bunch of helium atoms. Now the electron cloud would be slightly here. So this is what we call a momentary dipole. So this part is slightly partially positive and this part is slightly partially negative. So in another momentary dipole, we have a partially positive and negative, and they create a bond, which is an induced dipole. And this is a very weak bond, the weakest over there. I'm sorry, but like this is just what you have to work with only combinations of one, like helium. Helium will have only He, pretty confused. So now we know about intermolecular forces. But you might be thinking, Uzair, I understood intermolecular forces. Okay. Now, what does these all interactions have to do with molecules? So if you that I have the answer. Now, if you recall from the video Types of Matter, link in the description, you will see that solids don't move and are close by together. Liquids, they move, but they still are close together. And gas particles or gaseous particles don't interact because they move and they stay far away. So they, compared to liquid, don't interact. Now let's do a thought experiment. Let's say we have helium, water, and sodium chloride. And let's say we put them in absolute zero or 0 Kelvin. The lowest temperature possible, which means that there's nothing more colder than this. The point where even helium is also solid. Now why are these solid? Because they're frozen. Kind of weird if you think about it. This material is kind of frozen. Okay, back to the point. So water will be froze and helium would be frozen. Sodium chloride would be frozen. Now let's use different thermometer. Now stronger forces or stronger interactions will mean that you need more heat energy to evaporate them. And we haven't said this yet, and that is that ion-ion interactions are the strongest because they give exactly a cation and an exactly anion. Something like helium, which can only do van der Waals, will need a minuscule 1 degree Kelvin to melt and boil at 1 degree Kelvin. So since helium is so small and doesn't interact that much, it takes a little bit. In comparison, this is the same as negative 272 degrees Celsius. So in a very cold way, helium is still gas. Something like water, which makes dipole-dipole interactions, which is pretty on the middle scale because it'll still have partially positive and partially negative. Unlike helium, which will have slightly partially positive and slightly partially negative. Here, water would melt at 273 degree Kelvin, and water is going to boil at 373 Kelvin, which is pretty high up. And something like sodium chloride, which has the strongest bond since it's ion-ion, so there's exactly positive and exactly negative. It'll take nearly 1,474 degrees Kelvin to barely boil sodium chloride. And actually, this is barely melting. The melting point. So imagine this boiling point. So it'll take a lot of heat energy to melt something like sodium chloride. Of course, the sun wouldn't take it that much because it has a lot of energy, but we'll talk about that later. And with that, we understand things. Now we have to know one thing. Anything that has non-polar covalent bond will only consist of van der Waals, like carbon dioxide. Now, why carbon dioxide? It's because even though it has two oxygen, the vectors would go positive and negative. So they cancel each other out, which gives van der Waals. And something that is polar, you have to check the geometry of the molecule. Because water has a bent shape, it approaches to the oxygen center molecule. So it will have a dipole, and any ionic compound will have ion-ion interactions. So with that, we understand intermolecular forces and boiling points. So that's all there is to it. You can subscribe to my channel if you need any more math or science help. Math videos are coming a lot late. And you can like the video. You can comment down below, was this video helpful, or what do you thought of it, or did I miss any point that you'd like to refresh me about, or something like that. Because I might miss a few points. And thank you for watching. And I will see you next time. Bye.